This chart shows an incredible financial peak. In 2022, Starbucks logged a record $32.3 billion in revenue. But look closely, and the reality fractures. Operating margins dropped by hundreds of basis points, profits shrank, and the workforce was actively revolting. For decades, Starbucks sold a very specific feeling. It was the cozy, reliable third place between your home and your office. But to hit those record revenue numbers, the brand transitioned into a relentless, high-volume expansion machine. When a coffee empire nearly collapses despite record sales, the internal mechanics of that failure reveal the risks of pursuing scale without maintaining a foundation. Pushing for massive scale while sacrificing a core identity triggers a systemic failure that no amount of revenue can outrun. The company's 1971 Seattle origins were entirely focused on the craft of roasting coffee and building a community atmosphere. Howard Schultz championed a vision to take that local experience global. That vision drove a retail explosion, resulting in nearly 36,000 stores worldwide. By 2018, this hyper-expansion led to total market saturation. Opening multiple stores on single city blocks artificially inflated the company's real estate footprint while cannibalizing the demand of their own nearby locations. This strategy carried a heavy hidden tax. The warm, inviting cafes turned into crowded, sterile assembly lines. Customers faced long waits, and the unique brand identity began to erode. The exact playbook used to dominate the global market was actively hollowing out the unique value proposition that made them successful to begin with. This fragile, oversaturated footprint was immediately tested by 2020 lockdowns. Urban commuter traffic that sustained thousands of downtown locations disappeared overnight. Overseas, the damage was sharper. In China, a vital growth market with 6,000 stores, strict extended lockdowns triggered a 24% sales collapse throughout 2022. Behind the counter, a profound disconnect emerged between corporate leadership and frontline staff. Global supply chain chaos and rapid inflation squeezed the business, but stagnant wages and job insecurity fell directly on the baristas. The workers pushed back. Baristas at over 300 locations successfully voted to unionize, sparking intense legal battles and 93 federal labor complaints against the company. External crises rarely destroy healthy businesses. They expose and shatter businesses that have already compromised their internal ecosystems. Desperate for a fix, the company churned through leadership. Howard Schultz returned to right the ship before handing it off to new CEO Laxman Narasimhan. By early 2024, turnaround efforts stalled, and the company's share price plunged 12%. Subsequent leadership finally deployed a severe countermeasure, a $1 billion restructuring plan that included shutting down roughly 400 locations. This diagram illustrates strategic pruning. By eliminating small, underperforming downtown shops, a company can redirect exact customer demand into larger, better-equipped neighborhood locations. Those remaining locations were then optimized for high-efficiency transactions, using mobile ordering and drive-thrus to alleviate customer friction. Corporate recovery requires letting go of ego. To save the core business, they had to actively shrink their footprint. While a multi-billion-dollar corporation can survive a massive restructuring, most projects exist on a much thinner margin of error. The same internal rot that forced Starbucks to close hundreds of stores can derail a solo venture if the core ecosystem is compromised. Lesson 1. Top-line revenue is a vanity metric. If operating costs and inefficiencies are rising faster than income, your core business is dying, regardless of your sales records. Lesson 2. You must protect the original value proposition of your project. Scaling at a pace that breaks the experience your audience loves is a fatal error. Lesson 3. Every new feature, tier, or location you add introduces a hidden operational tax that slows your entire system down. Lesson 4. Your frontline employees and community moderators will spot structural cracks and customer friction long before your analytics dashboards do. Lesson 5. Doing too much in one specific space dilutes your overall impact. You end up competing against yourself. These first 5 lessons prove that unchecked momentum is often a liability rather than an asset. Lesson 6. Launching new projects is easy. Having the courage to cut underperforming projects requires discipline, but it keeps the rest of the business alive. Lesson 7. Customer loyalty instantly evaporates the moment your core experience becomes filled with hassle and delays. Lesson 8. When unpredictable external shocks hit, a massive footprint becomes a target. Operational agility is your best defense. Lesson 9. When it is time to cut back, use hard data to make the decisions. Do not rely on emotional attachment to an idea. And Lesson 10. In a crisis, the solution is never a flashy new gimmick. The solution is executing your original fundamentals flawlessly. Long-term survival relies on fiercely protecting and refining a core offering, rather than constantly chasing new horizons. Take a hard look at your own workflow, your side hustle, or your startup. Audit the areas where you are pursuing growth without a soul. Find one bloated task or failing project this week and ruthlessly prune it. Cut the excess so your core work has space to thrive.